Hello and welcome to Meet the Candidates. I'm your host, Scott Ranf. With me today is Missoula County Sheriff candidate, TJ McDermott. And he's going to talk to me a little bit about his qualifications, his ideal sheriffhood, if that's what they call it. So the first thing, do you have anything you like to say for like an opening statement or anything you like to pitch real quick before we start with the questions?
Sure. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and to be on MCAT and give your viewers a chance to get to know me as a person and also as a law enforcement officer in the Missoula community, with the hopes of someday becoming the sheriff and leading the sheriff's office in a positive direction.
All right. So the first question is, what do you feel are your qualifications, trainings, and life experiences that make you the candidate for the job?
Well, I knew early on that I wanted to be a law enforcement officer, and as soon as I graduated from high school, I enrolled in the law enforcement program at Spokane Community College, and I started working towards an associate degree in the administration and justice with an emphasis in law enforcement. I was one of a select few in that program that also was a volunteer with the Spokane Police Department, so I started gaining practical experience at a very young age. When I graduated with my associate's degree, technically I was still too young to be hired as a law enforcement officer. So I returned home, came to Missoula, and began taking classes, sociology and criminology classes at the University of Montana. And ultimately, I was able to graduate with a bachelor's degree in sociology with an emphasis in criminology. So I have a formal education. I have two college degrees, both an associate and a bachelor's degree. When I was hired as a law enforcement officer, I also attended the Montana Law Enforcement Academy. And in the last 18 years over the course of my career, I've attended post-academy training and have hundreds of hours of additional training. I have 18 years experience. My experience is both in patrol and it's in detectives. In patrol, I was a member of the City Police Department's Target Enforcement Unit. That's a plainclothes assignment where I worked with a partner, and that unit proactively dealt with street-level narcotics, youth crimes, and played a big part in curbing the emerging gang presence that Missoula saw in the late 90s. I was also a field training officer, and I was able to train new officers and new recruits, and then I also was selected to be an assistant shift commander. So I supervised the shift in the absence of the patrol sergeant. In detectives, I was a burglary theft detective where I obtained grant funding for a stolen property recovery tracking device, which worked well. We were able to place tracking devices in personal property such as a speaker box in a vehicle, and then place a vehicle at a recreation area, and people that were involved in stealing from motor vehicles, we were able to identify them and track them through that device. But the majority of my time in detectives, I've been a persons crime detective, and I've investigated homicides, rapes, robberies, serious assaults, and one of the things I'm most proud of is my time on the Montana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. And with that task force, I was able to work collectively with local, state, and federal law enforcement officers, and we proactively targeted people in the Missoula community that would wish to do our children harm. I've been recognized for my dedication to public service throughout my career. As a persons crime detective, I was key to solving an 18-year-old cold case homicide of a Navy serviceman. I earned a National Top Cop Award and was honored in a ceremony at the White House by the President of the United States. And then also, I was named Officer of the Year for my work with the Montana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Another part of my experience is I've served several terms as the President of the Deputy Sheriff's Association. And I've learned a lot about our contract, about employment law, and working with the administration either during negotiations for contracts, employee disciplinary matters. But I've been proud of that position and really felt like I did a good job of ensuring due process for employees in individuals. So I have a vast area of experience that I hope I'll be able to utilize as sheriff to lead the sheriff's office in a positive direction.
All right. The next question is, what are the primary functions of the job of sheriff as you see it? And the second part of the question, is it a big change from being an active officer to being an administrator and leader?
Well, the primary job of the sheriff is the chief law enforcement officer of the county as well as the coroner. As I see it, the sheriff's primary job is to continue to provide a safe community for our citizens, as well as a sheriff's office that we can be proud of and that we can trust. This includes being responsible for civil process as well as the operation of our county jail. I'm currently a supervisor at the sheriff's office. I'm a detective sergeant, and I'm in a leadership role. And I'm very fortunate to supervise just a fine group of detectives. As a detective supervisor, I lead by example and communicate clearly goals and expectations. And on a larger scale, those are some of the things that the sheriff will do as well. I believe that everybody matters and everybody's important. And that applies both to employees, but also to citizens and members of this community. So as sheriff, I will be an advocate for the deputies, the detention officers, and the civilian staff. Make sure that they all have the proper training and resources that they need to do their difficult and sometimes dangerous job of protecting us. But maybe more importantly is ensure that there's fairness and that everyone has an equal opportunity for hiring and promotions and professional development opportunities. And members of the department, when they interact with the public, to make sure that those interactions are done with the highest level of honesty, integrity, accountability, and that citizens in this community are treated fairly with dignity and respect.
All right, so this next question is, what needs to be changed or developed from the current situation in the Sheriff's Department?
Well, I am excited at the opportunity to lead the Sheriff's Office in a positive direction. I think somewhere along the line that the concept of teamwork has been lost. And so one of the things that I would like to do is bring back the concept of everybody being part of a team, the same team, and working collectively with each other to accomplish great things. And you can accomplish more as a group than you can as an individual. I will lead by example. I will expect my staff to do the same and ensure that expectations and goals are clearly communicated with the employees and do the best to enhance the quality of life here in Missoula.
Huh. All right. How would you characterize your relationship with the City of Missoula Police Department and the County Sheriff's Department?
I have a great relationship with the police department. When I came to Missoula, I started my law enforcement career in Missoula at the police department. They have some really good officers there and some very talented detectives. I have a lot of support from the members of the police department, and I've worked both on the street with them, but I've also worked as a detective hand in hand with them, especially on cases and on the task force, the Montana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. That relationship has proved its worth so many times in our community, and it's where the two agencies, the Sheriff's Office and the Police Department, as well as other law enforcement agencies, really depend on each other, especially during crisis times or very violent and dangerous situations. So as sheriff, I would expect that relationship to improve.
All right. Let's see. The last question on this sheet of paper says, what accomplishments have given you the most satisfaction and why?
Okay. One of the best things about being a law enforcement officer is being able to help people. And over the course of the last 18 years, I've done just that. I've had an opportunity to help a variety of people with a variety of problems. Specifically, being a persons crime detective has been very satisfying to me. I was part of an investigation that involved children that had been sexually abused in our community, about 24 children by the same offender. I worked very hard on that case alongside some of the social services, First Step Resources, and some of the other great agencies that we have in our community to not only investigate those crimes, but to provide services to those victims and to hold that offender ultimately accountable. I'm very proud of my work protecting children in this community, and I'm also proud to work with the staff at First Step Resources. That's been very rewarding, very satisfying. The highlight of my career is solving the cold case homicide and earning a national award and being able to travel to Washington, D.C. with my wife, with my family, and have a chance to be at the White House, to shake the president's hand and be honored by him. That was huge. It's been very satisfying throughout my career to be part of the Montana Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. That task force is so important to our community, and it proactively identifies people that we know are on this progression to at some point become hands-on offenders. And being able to remove those people from our community, but also being able to work with victims of crimes and their families has been very satisfying and very rewarding to me. So
expanding on, like the internet crimes against children and all that stuff, how do you see that the Sheriff's Department moving in the 21st century?
Well, I believe that the efforts of law enforcement need to be based on the needs and concerns of the community. When I'm out talking on the campaign, some of the platforms, some of the objectives that I talk about are preventing crimes against women, protecting our children, reducing the number of DUIs on our roads, among other things. The Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force at the Sheriff's Office is a quarter-time position for one of the detectives. I would like to see that become a full-time position. The City Police Department has just received some private funding through the Montana coordinator for the Montana ICAC task force, and I would like to see some private funding or explore grant opportunities to ensure that we have someone also working full-time on these types of cases. They're just so important and so critical to the safety of our children.
So another question I want to ask, I know just kind of like encompass a lot of the questions that you probably already answered before, but what would be your main focus as sheriff?
Well, the main focus is going to be to enhance the quality of life in our community. As sheriff, I will protect and defend the Constitution, but I think I am like a lot of other people in this community. I live here for the quality of life. My wife is a middle school teacher. We have 2 small children that I've chosen to raise in this community. So as sheriff, a priority is going to be to protect the quality of life that we all enjoy here in Missoula. And that may mean focusing the efforts of the department based on the needs of the community. It could be something as simple as the recreation areas. Johns Rood Park is a great example where, depending on the situation, you may have disturbances and underage drinking, broken bottles, and there may be some things going on at some of these areas that prevent common folks from enjoying it. And being able to specifically address problems such as that.
And especially now, every summer, it seems like there's more and more people floating in the river. Like, I was walking down the bridge one day, it was like an army of people floating down the Clarkford River. I'm like, what? That's probably not that safe. Good thing I'm not on there at that particular time, but then,
Well, and that's a big reason why we live here. I mean, daily I'm reminded of what a great place we live in, especially with the outdoor recreation activities. It would be nice to be able to go to these activities with your family, these recreation areas, and know that your vehicle's not going to be broken into, that you're not going to have to worry about running into people that are intoxicated or provoking people to fights or broken glass. And that's just a small example, but there's a lot of areas in our community that I think the Sheriff's Office could focus on to just enhance the quality of life that we all enjoy.
Wow. So a question I've asked every other candidate is, like, what inspired you? What made you want to become sheriff? And, like, was it, like, coworkers, a family member convincing you, or was it kind of like your own epiphany, saying that you were just hanging out one day and you thought, you know what, I'd be a good sheriff? What convinced you to run for sheriff?
Well, throughout my career, I've really met some wonderful people. I've worked for some great chiefs and sheriffs, and there's a lot of different styles of leadership out there. I truly was impressed with the way that Doug Chase ran the sheriff's office and his ability to make the employees feel like they were part of a team. He knew his employees. He knew who they were married to and who their children were, and he knew a lot more about their employees than maybe other sheriffs have. And law enforcement is a brotherhood. There is a sense of family in a career of law enforcement, and as I came up throughout my career, I was taught well, and I had some great leaders that set a good example for me. And I know right now, with 18 years of experience, that now's the right time in my life and the right time in my career to try to put myself into one of those positions and to send that same message to the members of the department that I was giving as a young officer, that I believe played a key role in some of the successes that I have. So it's an opportunity to lead by example. It's an opportunity to not only make a positive difference in our community, but a positive difference in the department, and let people know that the administration does care about them. It's truly an honor to work with the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, and they deserve a leader that has their back, that cares about them, that's going to ensure that they have a fair opportunity throughout their career to be involved in helping out. And that's really why I want to be sheriff, is I want to give back more and make the Sheriff's Office the best it can be for this community. I want this community to be proud of the Sheriff's Office, to trust its Sheriff's Office, and know that when they need us, we will be accessible, professional, and accountable for what we do.
All right. While we've been talking, Josh has been flashing up your website, and also the link to your website, all the lower thirds websites and stuff, and it's www.McDermott4Sheriff, right?
Yes.
The number 4.
McDermott, the number 4, sheriff.com.
Yep, and that's where people can find more information about you. Basically, if do you have anything else you'd like to say? Anything else that you'd like to mention? Want to say hi to anyone or give a pitch?
Sure, you bet. One thing that I'd like to mention is my campaign is well supported, and I am deeply honored to have the support of Mayor Ingen as well as Commissioner Curtis. I think it's crucial to have the support of both city and county leaders, as well as many other elected officials that are endorsing or supporting my campaign, because I know moving forward that it's those relationships, those conversations that are going to ensure that I'm doing the best possible job serving the citizens of Missoula County.
Well, thanks for joining me. Again, this is TJ McDermott. He is running for Sheriff of Missoula County. And for more information, you can log on to McDermott4Sheriff.com. And for Meet the Candidates, I'm Scott Ranf. Thanks for joining me, TJ.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. That was great.